Am I the asshole for not paying for my roommate's $200 pen I accidentally ruined? He makes over $100K a year, and I make less than a quarter of that. This comes from a user named Throwaway Rich Pen. He really wanted to emphasize his roommate was rich. Like the title says, my roommate makes more than $100K, which is an absolutely unfathomable amount of money to me. He's only living in this cheap apartment with 3 other roommates to save money to buy a house, which is also an asshole move in my opinion. But that's not the point of this post. What is an asshole move? Buying a house? Living with roommates? Saving money? Anyway, a couple days ago, I was using a pen of his. Yesterday, a rich roommate confronted me and the other roommates that someone had warped the bottom of his pen. He asked who most recently used it, me, and if I had soaked it in cold water while it was still hot. I didn't know this would ruin a pot, so I fessed up and offered to replace the pen. Well, it turns out it was a $200 pen. I had no idea they could even cost that much. There is just no way I can afford that. After rent and food, I have about $50 left over each month. Rich roommate, quote-unquote, graciously offered to let me pay in 4 payments of $50 each. But I think it's totally ridiculous to use all of my leftover money for almost half a year to pay for something that my roommate could easily afford to replace himself, for something that shouldn't even cost that much anyway. Am I the asshole for not paying? Okay. The rule of thumb is, you break something, you pay for it. How much he makes is, first of all, none of your business, and second of all, irrelevant. It's not the reason to suddenly change the etiquette. Yes, $200 is a lot of money, but it's not crazy for a pen. I mean, it's surprisingly hard to find a decent pen on a budget. I had to buy one last year and I was so stressed out because even the ones on the pricey side had terrible reviews, like it got ruined after the first use, that kind of terrible. And if I wasn't tight on money, I would have probably picked one of the most expensive ones, just to be sure. So, it's a lot, but it doesn't necessarily strike me as some kind of frivolous luxury. Now, he probably bought this pen before he was on a tight budget. And the reason he is on a tight budget now is his personal business. It's not for you to decide if it's a valid reason. And hey, I'm not a stranger to the whole eat the rich mentality, trust me. I know it sucks that you have to be penniless for 4 months because of one oopsie, while he could just go and get a new one. It's frustrating and it's not fair, but resentment is an emotion, not an argument. And this approach is not fair either. Can we just smash things left and right, as long as their owners make more than us? Come on. Another question I wanna ask is, did you even have a permission to use it? If you didn't, you're a double asshole. From the way it's written, I'd assume you did, because the roommate was asking who used the pen last. If no one had the permission to use it, he'd probably ask who used it. So, I'll give you this. The roommate should have probably warned you about the price and explained how to use this pen, because when you let other people use your things, especially expensive ones, you kinda open yourself to a lot of unfortunate possibilities. People are dumb and clumsy, and you should prepare for that. Now, if I were you, I guess I would have paid, but not in 4 installments. I'd make the payments even smaller. Because being penniless for 4 months is not an option, and it's just not safe. But I imagine I'd be so embarrassed and so eager to show them that I'm willing to rectify the damage and not shaking off the responsibility. Which is exactly what you did. No responsibility whatsoever. So, you're the asshole. Reddit's verdict is also asshole, by the way. In case you didn't guess it. The comments also seem unanimous. Someone says, you're the asshole. If you ruin something, you pay for it. It doesn't matter how rich/poor the person is. He's also not the asshole to live below his means to buy a house. You are just jealous. Also, I love how you put graciously between quotes, like it isn't true. It is. He is being very kind to let you pay in installments. Check your entitled attitude, and don't ruin what you can't afford. Well, he was medium kind. I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but I can't help but feel bad for OP. I'm going through a lot of financial anxiety right now. People are also wondering what he meant by also an asshole move. I'll quote again. He's only living in this cheap apartment with 3 other roommates to save money to buy a house, which is also an asshole move in my opinion. People are sort of clowning him for that. Apparently, only assholes save money to buy houses. Apparently, only assholes live as cheaply as possible so they can afford a house quicker. Sounds like quite some nerve. I hope to be that kind of asshole someday. And more asshole comments. You are the asshole. Number 1. Him living cheaply to save money doesn't make him a bad person. I'm not sure why you think it does. Number 2. Unfortunately, you are responsible for replacing what he ruined. How much you make vis-a-vis him is irrelevant. You're the asshole, it was his pen, you ruined it, you get to pay for it, he was kind enough to offer to let you do it in installments. You're the asshole, it's not your roommate's fault that you don't make a lot of money, it is your fault that you ruined his pen. So most of the comments are variations of that. But there's also an interesting suggestion. You're the asshole, you did ruin his pen, and just because he makes more than you is no justification to get out of replacing it. Perhaps there are other ways to repay the roommate. Could you offer to do extra chores or errands or something to compensate for the price of replacement of the pen? Have a discussion with the roommate, explaining that the $50 a month is too much, and see if you can come to some common ground. Is there some other way I could repay you? No, but seriously, it's a good suggestion. Actually, I'm wondering if someone was on OP's side. I'm trying to find some comments defending him. He is and everyone sucks. This seems to be a less popular opinion, but I think everyone sucks here. Yes, your attitude sucks, and ultimately you're responsible for your own mistakes. But if I was the rich roommate and had expensive cookware available for all of my roommates to use, I would make sure to tell them how to use it properly. If I didn't say, hey, this is really expensive and be sure to take care of it, I would feel at least partly responsible for the miscommunication and try to maybe pitch in with you, or possibly accept a cheaper replacement. Well, we don't know, maybe he did explain that. And even if he didn't, I wouldn't go as far as to say that makes him the asshole. But okay. You're the asshole, 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 you're 100% asshole. Oh, here's a different one. Surprising answer to all the stuff. Not the asshole for literally not being able to pay them back. Sure, you need to repay them in some way, but demanding the full amount is definitely an asshole move when they know you aren't as fortunate as them. If this isn't a first-time offense, then that changes things. Obviously, if you've got a backlog of payments you gotta make back, then you're more liable. However, if this is literally the first time they've demanded to make you repay them, and you've made it clear you really can't, then they're the asshole for trying to force it back. They make $100K a year, they're not losing anything, lol. If they're insistent, you can lower even further to 20 $10 payments. This would both give them their money back and let you have enough to live comfortably. That's exactly what I would do. However, I think I've already explained why I disagree with the first part of this comment, but it's always interesting to see different opinions. No, I've lied. Not always.